As Ahmadi Muslims, we see organizations such as Humanity First working across the globe to serve humanity. They do so utilizing the power of volunteers and not for profit. When the majority of large organizations of today are motivated by an inherent desire to be profitable, what drives organizations like Humanity First to do what they do?
उसी का हूँ गुलाम अदना, उसी का एक अंसारी.
Some of the largest and most recognizable businesses in the world are reaching record-breaking levels of wealth. But at the same time, we see the neglect of the rights and even safety of their workers, simply to ensure that their profit margins increase. In fact, even the charitable contributions made by such large corporations are often motivated not by charity, but by trying to gain a tax-exempt status. Even within the charity sector, it has been found that sometimes as little as 14 to 26% of the funds raised go towards those who are truly in need. A YouGov survey also showed that the majority of the UK public believe that charities are now more interested in making money for themselves, giving higher proportions as salary to senior staff and management. However, charitable organisations affiliated with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat are a different story. Not beholden to any shareholders, their motivations and impact on the world are worlds apart. Humanity First was established in 1995 with the motto "Serving Mankind" and is now registered in over 60 countries. Its mission is to provide aid to those who need it most, through disaster relief programs as well as sustainable development solutions such as the Knowledge for Life scheme.
Humanity First is different to other organisations because, first of all, we get direct guidance from Hazrat Khilafat, so we relied on the guidance that we were getting. Secondly, volunteers. So without the direct involvement and the active involvement of the Jamaat, we wouldn't have the volunteers, and that's the only way we can be effective and operational, especially in so many countries around the world. From the outset, we had adopted the Waqf-e-Arzi type model. So our volunteers will often pay for their own flights, visas, accommodation, travel and subsistence costs. And then we use the vast majority of our funds on projects on the ground. Now, because of this, there are two or three things that we see. First of all, the volunteers themselves go there thinking, I am an expert in this. I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, I'm an engineer, and they go out to do work and also to train our local teams. But almost without exception, they come back saying, I've learned more from them than I taught them. And this is a unique thing, I think, within the Jamaat. Secondly, the style of working. As I said, we adopted the Waqf-e-Arzi model. This also means that when we're traveling, we travel in remote parts of Africa, Asia, wherever we are, in bone crushers, typical the trucks that you find in Africa, or double buggies. We don't go in big air-conditioned, jeeps or what have you. Secondly, when we're staying, we tend to stay in local centres. We're there for a different purpose, and so we don't expect to have luxury. Whereas when we see colleagues from other charities out there, we often find that they are flying first class, that they're staying in luxurious hotels, traveling in luxury, which is fine. They are professionals, they are doing it on that basis. But what I would say is that going with that niyat, that we're going in a Waqf-e-Arzi style to use the maximum of our efforts and our funds to help people on the ground, I think the results we see are far above and beyond what other charities achieve, and they say that to us. Hazur always guides our disaster response teams, and there are so many examples of where through Hazur's guidance we avoided pitfalls, we avoided dangerous situations, we achieved partnerships, we achieved a level of performance that we could never have dreamed of. If I think back 8 years ago to the Ebola crisis that affected Sierra Leone, Liberia and Guinea, and even there were 1 or 2 cases in Nigeria and Mali, with Huzur's guidance, we had a team of 43 working in Sierra Leone. There were tens of thousands of cases of Ebola in Sierra Leone. So many people died. Our teams were working at all of the major bus stops between Freetown and Wellington and Waterloo. And whether they were placed at Calabar Town or any of the other bus stops, they were facing the general population. They were doing temperature checks for them, they were providing them with water, they were isolating potential cases and arranging for them to go to a clinic or hospital and isolate them. And yet, alhamdulillah, they did amazing work. They reached over 1.2, 1.3 million people in Sierra Leone alone, and we didn't have any illness or any issues amongst our teams. They were very brave. I was fortunate to go a few months later and present awards to a lot of our volunteers, but we couldn't have done what they did. And what they did, the bravery that they showed and their safety is an example of the prayers that were behind them.
Some of the projects that Humanity First is involved with, such as the Water for Life scheme and the Model Village project, require technical expertise and skills. And so it sometimes turns to another organisation in the community to find volunteers. The International Association of Ahmadi Architects and Engineers, or IAAE for short. IAAE was founded in 1980 by Hazrat Mirza Nasir Ahmad Rahmallah Alayh. Professionals around the world would take time from their everyday jobs to help people in developing countries, oftentimes staying in remote locations to build and restore amenities.
The motivation for IAAE members is always His Holiness. And I make sure that they feel it, because whenever we go on a project with my engineers who have gone to Africa, to various parts, they come and they relate their stories to Hazur. Hazur, we were in this village, I was sleeping there, and I saw a snake coming up, during the night. So stories like that, are actually quite motivating as well, And Hazur himself mentions that, oh, why are you afraid? Then he gives his own stories of the way some snakes were in his room or something like that, and gives us a lot of encouragement that way. So this is the sort of thing which Hazur, through his personal experience, gives to the members, and they enjoy his experiences as much as they enjoyed their own. And I think in a way we can say this is how we differ from other NGOs as well, that our leader, our Imam, has gone through all those sacrifices himself, and he knows what we will face. And then he reassures us that don't worry, God is with you. And also, many times, whenever we've gone, some boys who have had no jobs when they went on a project to Africa before, and when they come back, Allah opens the doors of employment for them as well. And they find a good job. And Hazur mentions, this is the blessing of having done this work. This is why you got this job. And so I think from that perspective, you can also see another aspect of the motivation which our engineers have. In everything we do, we ask Hazur for guidance in every matter. For example, we are about to build the Masroor International Technical College in Ilaro in Nigeria. Now, when we went for it in the first place, we were looking at Burkina Faso. Now, Hazur let us do the studies and continued with it. And then I met the Amir of Nigeria who mentioned, he said, look, we have a school in Nigeria. Why don't you come to Nigeria and have a look around? So when I mentioned this to Hazur, and Hazur said yes, you should go there because not only that, I want you to survey the countries around Nigeria and see if they can, if we get to that place, will we get students from these countries? So I followed his instructions and I went to countries like Benin and Ghana and other places around Nigeria and tried to see if students from there would be ready to go to this college. And so it was. Alhamdulillah, when I discussed with some students in Benin, in Ghana, and they said, look, we are already going to Nigeria because it is the hub of technical excellence in the area, and all of us go to Nigeria. So that instruction from Hazur was very, very valuable. And I think if we had built it in Burkina Faso, we would have suffered because it's in a remote location and I don't think we would have had the students we were looking for. And then because one of the things which Hazur has always pointed out to us, it's not only you build something, but you've got to make it run afterwards. And so we may have built it, but we may not have been able to run it properly. So I checked in Nigeria where we had the science school, and that was paid for by the students. And Alhamdulillah, it was running very well within the budget. So that also assured me that if we build a college here next to the school, then inshallah this will also run very well. And we hope, inshallah, when it is built, it will be run very well because there's now a ready market of students who will now come from the school into the college.
Jamaat Ahmadiyya is fortunate to not only have such passionate and driven volunteers, but also a guide and leader in our Khalifa who has the interests of the vulnerable at the core of his heart. It is clear that while money is indeed an important factor in charity work, profit need not be, and those who work for the good of mankind with great zeal can, with the help of Allah the Almighty, cause huge change. As the Ahmadiyya Muslim community progresses leaps and bounds into various sectors and various parts of the world, we are very fortunate to have the guiding wisdom of Khalifatul Masih. We have achieved sustainable and oftentimes unsuspected success in our goals of serving humanity worldwide. And in a world which has an increased focus on capitalization and monetary benefit for the rich, we stand out as a community working for those most vulnerable in society. Beyond that, we have a spiritual leader who is Allah's representative and guides us in these tasks every step of the way.